Golden Gloves is the top of amateur boxing. It's a national boxing tournament that takes place once a year. Boxers get to compete against other boxers from all over the United States. In 2024, it will be in the city of Detroit.
Let's go, Detroit! Let's go, Detroit!
We worked with Downtown Boxing Gym and the local Golden Gloves to bring the national championship here to Detroit.
It draws a national audience. A lot of people grew up going to the Golden Gloves and watching the Golden Gloves. It was almost like the Olympics of boxing. This is a great opportunity for local businesses to get national exposure.
Detroit has so much boxing heritage, so much history here, and this just really adds to the narrative to Detroit as a boxing destination.
When I step in the ring, I feel like nobody can beat me. To make it to this level, you need hard work, you need dedication. During a national tournament, I'll be kicking some butt.
The Golden Gloves are important because they're just a high-level competition and people fighting for their chance to be the best.
You're gonna just see some great athletes on display.
It's right downtown Huntington Place, so it's easy to purchase, take in and walk in and show support for the boxers.
Come out to the Golden Gloves and support boxers just like me.
Get yours, float up to the stars. Planets is a spot about 6 blocks east of Mars. Air soul kicks and crush velvet hats. Hanging off the Ave with the beautifulest snaps. Riding the crest with the blessed give a yes. Planets kinda funky as if you hadn't guessed. Placebos getting blocked, funky joints get rocked. Java's not found, we flop from the flesh. Weather Jeep a lack, peek it as you bend it and float to them raps. Butterflies, planets with a jam 8 tracks. From the naughty tops with the twist and plaits. Look beneath my hat, find the brains that hit ya, Metro quite equipped. Knows of all the funk that was laid in 7 zips. Funk is fat, homie, homie, don't you know me? Cool is back, give some skin, lay it on me. Groovy you could call it, hip yeah you could call we. Vicky sticky finger stuck up.
And Yep. There's a that the Benavidez fight could happen in May.
In May of what?
Benavidez is tied up
2020,
also.
May of
So,
2025.
it's not really. I think so. I think it's going to be tied up. I think
You
so.
know what? Here's
think
what's
it's
up.
gonna be tied up until then, because, I
If
mean,
David Benavidez is that professionally inept that he will allow himself to get used and abused by Canelo Alvarez to this extent, I would be suing Canelo Alvarez. I would not only would I be suing him, I would get myself a big old bus that says El Pollo Canela and drive all around Mexico with this bus. Now the guys would be probably throwing eggs at me and that kind of stuff, but that's okay. I got a big bus, but I would drive this bus around and I would dog Canelo to the end of this. That's what Muhammad Ali did with Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston didn't take Cassius Clay seriously.
that would be excellent TV, and it's that type of propaganda, that type of promotion, that type of energy would go crazy now that we have social media. I mean, you talk about real time, live. I mean, people in Timbuktu would see Benavidez pumping Canelo up and down Guadalajara with the big old bus. Look, Benavidez is managed or promoted by one of the smartest guys in boxing, Sam Solukovich. They need to get that done. They need to find a way. And Benavidez has said that he's willing to take the short end.
He's willing to take the short end. He's willing to come in light. He's willing not to like rehydrate to us. I mean, he's basically willing to do everything but blow Canelo to get this fight.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, after the fight last week, Canelo was kind of calling Benavidez in the ring. Similar to Duran and Benitez after the first Leonard fight. He's telling them to come in the ring. So look, Canelo knows he's the pretty girl in the dance. However, they're starting to play the last dance, right? The DJ's getting ready to wrap it up. Canelo's career is on the back nine,
three,
I believe. But look, I do believe that the longer it waits, the worse it is for Canelo. I think if they fought tonight, I would still pick Canelo to beat Benavidez.
So here, let me show you the flip side of that. They make them. They say to him, "Listen, man, Canelo's dicking you around right now, so we're going to put you in a WBC 175-pound interim title fight. We'll put you in this interim title fight to keep you busy, this and that." Okay, so they put him in for this interim title fight, and somehow he gets damaged or he loses against a guy that he's not supposed to be fighting to, and all of a sudden Canelo's no more. No.
I mean, it could
but
happen
I'm trying to tell
that
you,
way. Now the guy,
if that happens, boom, the super fight, the mega fight, even that clown over there in Saudi Arabia is calling for this fight.
well, Gavacic hasn't fought since he got,
Since he quit.
since he was beaten to submission by Beterbiev, right? So, yeah, I mean, and that's the last time that I remember seeing him in the ring. So, why this is a title fight? The smarter people than me that can answer that, I have no idea. That is a possibility. I think also part of the strategy, kind of like Roy Jones and Tony Torre, you have Roy come back down in weight. Maybe he does something to Benavidez' body.
Well, that whole thing with Roy Jones, Roy was taking, in my opinion, Flintstone vitamins, and that's how he got up in weight and got so big and bulky and this and that. Okay, and when he took off the Flintstone vitamins, the bulk, and he went back down in weight, his chin stuck out. I told you the story about Roy Jones getting knocked out in the gym, right? 2 times. I can confirm one time, but it was said 2 times. Sugar Ray Leonard was going to sign him in 1988, coming out of the Olympics. Actually, he was going to sign him at the Olympic trials in Concord, California. Ray got a suitcase with $100,000 in it. I know because I saw the suitcase. Yikes! 100 grand, you know. So anyway, I said, what's going? He goes, I'm going to sign Roy Jones, blah, blah, blah. So this was on a, we'll say it's on a Tuesday, all right? And by Thursday, Ray backed out. And I said, Ray, what's up? No, I ain't signed no more. I said, what's going on? He goes, no, man, he's been knocked out in the gym cold with the big gloves. And I said, how do you know? He goes, I got the word from a guy. He goes, it's supposedly on videotape somewhere. I said, really, really? Yeah, his feet were twitching. I said, really? He goes, and then I heard he got knocked out again in the gym with the big gloves on. So I think he's got a glass jaw, blah, blah, blah. And I'm saying to myself, oh, maybe okay. But obviously with Roy's reflexes, he was able to avoid getting drilled for a long time because of his quick reflexes. But once he lost that step and he came back down from heavyweight, no more Flintstone vitamins, had to be the natural guy. Against the bigger guy, he got drilled.
Exactly. Get away with doing stuff that was unconventional because he was a tremendous athlete. And once he lost that step, like you said, he was getting knocked out by guys that really wouldn't touch him in his prime. You know,
He was the throwing Samoan, okay? Then he gained 10 pounds, and his little short ass couldn't cut the distance between him and the big guys. You know where I'm coming from? It was at 10 pounds. He couldn't cut the distance. I mean, I saw him against Lennox Lewis. I expect him to put up a formidable effort against Lennox Lewis. He was like a Samoan pussycat.
that was one of the worst performances. I was really wow, yeah. I mean, Tua burst on the scene when he knocked out Ruiz, you know, on HBO, an amazing knockout, one of the great knockouts of the last 50 years, probably. But yeah, I should wait.
Ibuchi. I televised the fight on my own. Dan Duva, may he rest in peace. Of course, the great promoter, the son of Lou Duva. He gave me this assignment. He says, "Listen, I've got this heavyweight title fight, NABF title fight coming up in Sacramento, California. David Tu and Ike Ibuchi. I want you to do it because HBO is going to do the other feed." I said, "Cool." So I got to sit down. I got to do it myself. They threw like 1,200 punches, something like broke a record in 12 rounds. This was amazing.
Yes.
I said to myself, wow, I'm watching the future of the heavyweight division here, thinking it was Ike Ibuchi after beating David Tua, right? Then I interviewed Ike Ibuchi post-fight, and I realized this guy's a nutcase. He ain't lasting long. He got on a plane in Dallas, Texas, got in all kinds of trouble, got thrown off the plane, ended up taking another plane to Vegas, then he ended up raping a hooker. How do you rape a hooker? Only Ike Ibuchi, you big dummy. Straight up, this is Ring Talk Live Worldwide.
I know a place where people
intimidates the people. See, in America, the black people are always taught to be humble. Yes, boss. I'm sorry. Hey, boy, break. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. And never has a slave got up and said, I am the greatest. I'm beautiful. I'm pretty. I cannot lose. They said, that nigga talks too much. And they pay money to see me beat. And I go to the bank laughing. 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. I am the greatest. That nigga talks, he's cocky.
You know what? We had to censor that. We had to censor the N-word out of that twice. And I was against it. And of course, up until a couple of years ago, we were able to do that. But evidently the network president said, don't do it, don't play that. And then Daniel's freaking out in the other room. I can't play that, Pete. Listen, I'm 23% black. I'm not trying to say that I throw the N-word around all the time. I hardly use it if I use it at all. But the bottom line is, Muhammad Ali says it, you got to go with it. How do you feel about that, Socrates Palmer, boxing's PhD?
We spell it different. So I mean, I guess it depends on the generation you're from. We don't necessarily use we add a vowel to the last letter. So it's acceptable. It's almost a greeting. I'm Dominican, so I think I kind of get a pass from
Okay.
using it.
You know what? I'm going to switch gears. Let's talk about Jaron Boots Ennis. I think he's the welterweight per se that's probably the best right now, 147 pounds. But people say there's Terrence Crawford. Crawford's fought 4 times in 4 years. I think I heard that last night when you were on Tommy D show. Of course, Tommy D show is on many platforms, including YouTube. But the bottom line is, nobody really wants to fight him. He's going to fight this guy, Cody Crowley. Can Cody Crowley lick a stamp?
I think Cody Crowley is a decent fighter. I mean, he's been on that PBC platform. He's fought PBC fighters, so it's going to be obviously a huge step. Jared Ennis is a good fighter. He is upgraded. He's a guy that right now is probably the best 147, and it's out of I don't know, because there's nothing else there, right? All the other great, really good 147s have all moved up. I don't think Terence Crawford would ever fight. Right, 47. Crawford won't be there. Virgil Ortiz, those are the guys. Keith Thurman, and on and on. So no one else really there. So kind of like, he's just by default, but he's still unproven. He doesn't have a big win.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
the
the
risk
punk
reward
ass
thing.
stuff. That's punk stuff. When you're ranked number 1, I'm going to say it again. This guy David Benavidez was ranked number 1, the interim champion, the former champion. I mean, good Lord, the former champion lost the title on a scale. The interim champion now, they're moving up to 175. He's been the number 1 contender for 3 years, and he's getting denied. I think it's time that boxing, especially the World Boxing Council and these sanctioning bodies, stand up to their own rules. I mean, if Canelo has to defend against a number 1 contender once a year, why hasn't he fought since number 1 contender since he fought that Iranian guy back in 2021, and he had lost his prior fight?
I agree. Look, I agree. You're thinking to the choir, brother. The sanctioning bodies have to uphold their own. They have bylaws for a reason, right? They have rules, and if the guy doesn't meet those standards, it doesn't, respect the bylaws, strip him. Now, granted, is Canelo bigger than the belt? Absolutely. Canelo is on that short list of most recognizable. Did it? It's also the WBC's always kind of been partial to the Mexican fighter, right? It helps business, So I think it's a little bit of both. Canelo's is a celebrity, right? He's crossed over. He's boys with Steph Curry. He's doing Miller Lite.
Great fighter, this and that. Chavez was cranky towards the end, and some guys he really didn't want to fight, but he ended up fighting them anyway. Listen, he didn't want any part of Frankie Randall. He didn't want to fight Frankie Randall. Chavez didn't want to fight. You can see why when their styles clashed the way they did. Okay, but I don't think Chavez ran from anybody. I think if Salvador Sanchez May he rest in peace. The great Mexican champion, of course, the great featherweight champion to beat Wilfredo Gomez, probably the fight of the year in 1981. Of course, smoking Gomez in 9 or 10 rounds after knocking him down in the first round. Anyway, the late Salvador Sanchez, he must be rolling over in his grave. Well, I mean, with Canelo's excuses, oh, he's too heavy. What does he bring? He's not responsible. He's not respectful. Who gives a spit if he's respectful, man? You're not God. You're not the Pope. You're just some punk that happens to be the world boxing champion and the WBC 168-pound guy. That's all. I mean, you're not God. He considers himself God, and you guys are not you guys, but the media's putting him up on such a pedestal they can do whatever he wants, and I don't think it's cool.
I think the media is starting to tire of him, and the fans are as well. And his peers.
Canelo Muggia.
Not shocked at all. I know that it was streamed for free. In,
how many pay-per-views did Ryan do? 900 grand.
I heard it was 520 in that neighborhood. Haney and Ryan. Which is, I mean, and Ryan Garcia has been a part of the last two big mega pay-per-view buys last year.
Haney fans bought that fight. How many Haney fans are there besides the 3 black guys on the internet? We're having just a wonderful day here in the studios. We'll read for a second. We'll reconnect with Socrates Palmer. But the bottom line is, this is the way things are going here as far as these sports byline studios are concerned today. Every computer that's gone wrong, that can go wrong, went wrong. And Daniel's pointing at me like it's my fault. Well, it's not my fault. Bottom line is, he's laughing. He's laughing in the other room. Sock, you back? Listen, man, I hate to tell you this. I'm going to tell you a secret about sports byline. Are you ready?
Can you hear me?
We still have dial-up internet.
Ready.
Yes, we do. Remember that noise?
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into it. Let's talk about tonight's fights. George Kambosos and Vasyl Lomachenko. Kambosos lost the 2 fights to Haney, the aforementioned Haney. Of course, he's mandated to fight Sandor Martin for the WBC title. First of all, Sandor probably beat Teofimo in that fight, didn't he?
He did. He did. Or at least he made Teofimo look very bad. So bad that he questioned his own, ability. All right. But he bounced back after that, against Josh Taylor. And then he looked kind of like the way he did against Jermaine Ortiz. But Sandor Martin's a tough type of guy. He's going to make a lot of people look bad.
Vasyl Lomachenko, 17-3. He's older than dirt. He's 36 going on 90. He has like 400 amateur fights.
That is true. It is like when someone's trying to sell you a 2010, Honda Civic, but it's got 300,000 miles, right? So that is Loma. However,
with 152,000 miles on it, so I guess you're dogging me out here on the air, huh?
The Japanese make the best cars, Toyota, Honda. I mean, no doubt about it. But listen,
and I was kicking back and I was talking smack. And I said, "How did the Japanese end up kicking your ass on cars?" And the room went quiet. The room went quiet.
Oh man, you went there.
McCoy was in the room. He worked for one of the automakers, the former welterweight champion. But yeah, the whole room went quiet, Sock.
Boy, you was that just did it just come from the heart, or was that a planned troll comment?
Okay, real quick, who's going to win, Kambosos or Loma? Loma's a 6-1 favorite.
Unless Loma gets old overnight, or there's some chicanery, I can't see Kambosos beating Lomachenko.
Socrates Palmer, hug the kids, hug the wife, have a great weekend.
Thank you, my brother, and
Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Of course, the great Socrates Palmer, Boxing's PhD. We are blessed to have him on Saturdays, the Saturday version of Ring Talk Live World.
I take the vibe, and I like the company. It's a wild way.
Hey there, fellow.
I'm Frank Ripley, inventor of Frackwell, the boxer's water bottle. You're watching WBC Live Channel, powered by Vive.
That type of pain can stay with you forever when you lose a fight. The pain of you receiving punches and getting hit every single time, it comes and goes. It's really, you don't feel it in the ring at the time, but it's interesting because that loss can be very painful for a lot of years after one retires.
My first fight was over pitching, and that led me to here. Life is only a competition to improve life. I don't know. I was made to be that way, and I don't know, it gets scary sometimes. I'm so small, I'm hardly noticed, but I make a lot of noise.
One 800-965-1295. 800-965-1295. That's 800-965-1295.
Now, more Ring Talk with Pedro Fernandez.
Now listen, we're nobody's fool, but I paid the fool. I paid the fool! Wrong shot.
Mr. T takes seconds?
Yes, no. I paid the fool.
Mr. T, Lawrence Terrell, may I introduce you. Bottom line is, we were together like in 1988, 1987. We had some clashes. Actually, we were together twice, and we clashed both times. I'll tell you what happened. First at a Michael Nunn fight, I think we were in, maybe it wasn't a Michael Nunn fight. We were at a fight, I think in Reno, Nevada. It was real cold. We were in this shuttle bus coming from the Reno Hilton, and he was talking all that smack. I pity the fool. I don't want to hear that smack, that spit, spit with an H. I don't want to hear that at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. You think I want to hear this guy screaming? This guy's screaming on the bus. So I got up and said to him, hey, man, can you like pep it down? Anyway, he got huffy with me. I said to him, listen, we don't need you to have this attitude on the bus. Most of us just woke up. We don't want to hear you. Bottom line is, you want me to take a vote of these people on the bus here that don't want to hear you? The brave people step up and say, guess what? Just shut the duck up. Okay? So finally, he shut up. Then Michael Nunn wins the IBF middleweight title when he stops Frank Tate inside of like 10 rounds, I think, at the in Las Vegas. We had a party at the across the street from Caesar's Palace. Can't remember the name of the hotel there, but the bottom line is we had this party here, and Mr. T was the doorman, right? So I walked in, he's like the doorman. So he sees me, and he decides he's going to dog me this and that. I give him the straight arm, straight up, blood, stand back. Stand back. And he goes, what do you say? I said, listen, man, remember the first time we got together? And I think he realized the voice, listen to that, the voice, right? So I said, remember the first time we got together in Reno, Nevada? I said, you tried to dog me and I had to put you in your spot then. Do you want me to put you in your spot in front of all these people here? Because I will. And he was just like absolutely mind-ducked. He couldn't believe anybody would even say this to him. This is Mr. T, Lawrence Tarot, okay? The guy from the A-Team. Bottom line is, I put him in his spot. And of course, the reason why I'm bringing him up is that he's not in the greatest of health. I saw a picture of him in the National Enquirer. Not saying it's true, but I saw a picture of him when I was standing in line shopping this week for food in the National Enquirer, and he doesn't look too well. So, Mr. T. Lawrence Terrell, the best of luck, best of health to you. Now, I'm looking at a card that Don King's putting together. Of course, Don King is the man, the world's greatest promoter at one point in time. But June the 7th, he has a card at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino in Florida. And the bottom line is he's got a couple of guys in the main event. I won't even talk about it. But you look down here, and the main event was supposed to be Adrian Broner versus Cobb, right? And guess what it says here? If Broner shows up. That's what it says on the poster. It says Broner versus Cobb's down the bottom of the poster next to a picture of Don King. And it says, if Broner shows up. Now, what the hell does that mean? What does that mean if Broner shows up? Bottom line is Broner's a flake. I can't believe that Don King tried to put – Don King is alleged to have invested money in Adrian Broner. I don't believe it. I think he gave him a few bucks and Broner went out and got high. And that was about it because Adrian Broner is a bit of a fool. I mean, if ever there was a guy that wasted talent, it was Adrian Broner. And they call him a problem. He's got lots of problems that start above his neck. Now, a fighter that I'm real excited about is going to go to action, of course, June 29th. Talking about Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez, the world flyweight champion, WBC, 19-0, 12 KOs, taking on Juan Francisco Estrada for the WBC 115-pound title. Now, listen, he's only moving up 3 pounds, but 3 pounds is significant at this weight. I kid you not, 112, 115, because 115-pounder is bigger than 112-pounder. Of course, the current 122-pounder, in fact, he was successful last week, the Noah Inoue, stopping Luis Neera in 10 rounds, but he got dropped by Neera in the very first round, and he got out. Bottom line is, he got dropped. He got up, pound for pound. He may be the best fighter in boxing right now. Forget Terrence Crawford. Listen, Terrence Crawford's fought take it back. He's fought 4 times in the last 4 years. How do you become pound for pound the king of boxing when people don't know who you are, people don't see you? And the bottom line is, he didn't have that big of a star factor to him because he came out of, Omaha, Nebraska. I mean, how many boxing stars come out of Omaha? Bottom line is Crawford is wasting his talent. Of course, now he's going to do this 54-pound fight down in L.A. I wish him very best luck on that one. But the bottom line is at 147, he had work to do. I mean, he did. Boots Ennis was the guy that he should have took care of. But he said, I'm scared of Boots Ennis. That's what he said. When you leave a weight class, and you leave a number one contender undefeated, an undefeated number one contender, you leave him and you leave a weight class, that's got to say you're a punk. There's no other way to put it. There's absolutely no other way to put it. Speaking of confederations, the IBF closed their 39th annual boxing federation day this week in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I'm told 15 people showed up. I mean, I looked at the film, at the pictures, I kid you not, it looks like only 15 people showed up. So I wish the IBF the best. And guess what? The IBF used to be known as the International Block Federation because they had a black president, and for the most part, they represented a lot of black fighters, right? Well, I looked at that picture of the IBF Board of Executives. There's only 1 or 2 black guys out of 12 or 13 or 15. Bottom line is, I guess it ain't that way anymore. Bob Lee was the president of the founder of the International Boxing Federation. Of course, he founded the IBF when he felt the WBC was not fair to black fighters, and neither was the WBA, so he figured he would start this American association and call it the IBF. Of course, they started back in 1985. Larry Holmes was the first heavyweight champion, but Bob Lee, of course, was the guy that I approached in Atlanta, Georgia, because I had seen films of him taking bribe money from Doug Beavers. Doug Beavers, the IBF president. Get this, he's a ratings guy. Doug Beavers was taking bribes, and he was giving it to Bob Lee. So I watched the films. The FBI filmed him through a television set in Roanoke, Virginia, somewhere. I forget where it was. Anyway, bottom line is they filmed him, and then I went and told Bob Lee, listen, I saw these films because the FBI told me to go tell Bob Lee. That's what they said to me. I won't say what agent it was, but I was told by the FBI that when I saw Bob Lee, to tell Bob Lee that I had seen the films of him taking a bribe. So I told Bob Lee that. Actually, I asked Bob Lee if we could talk in private. He said, anything you got to say, Pedro, you say in front of these people. So I said to him, I saw you taking a bribe money from Doug Beavers on TV on film on VHS. In fact, the FBI has it and is dated and all that kind of good stuff. What do you got to say about that? So he didn't say anything. He popped a couple of nitroglycerin pills, but I guess I think he wishes to God that he never said, "Go ahead, Pedro, tell me in front of these people." Because guess what? It got real quiet there. All he did was take some heart pills. So back to June 29th. Juan Francisco Estrada, 44-3, the 115-pound champion. He's been that champion for a while. Jesse Rodriguez, pound for pound, one of the better fighters in the world. Why do I say that? Because I'm not too high on flyweights. Because the 112 pounds are carrying 8 ounces of glove. 8 ounces. What kind of crap is that? 8 ounces of glove on a 112-pound fighter. But yet Tyson Fury, who's a 260-pound fighter, allegedly 260, somewhere around 260. Bottom line is he wears a 10-ounce glove. So you're trying to tell me that all that weight there and it's only like 2 ounces difference? I mean, what's going on here? In fact, if you really wanted to make boxing exciting, I think if you wanted to make it an entertaining sport, you would make the gloves a little bit smaller, especially for the women. The women suffer from a lack of punching power because they don't have the leverage or the upper body strength that men do. So the bottom line is, if you lighten up the gloves a little bit, they can hit a little bit harder and they can keep punching. Now, Amanda Serrano, she was named IBF Fighter of the Year. Of course, she's the 126-pound champion, the featherweight champion of the world. Of course, she's a girl that I think beat was a Lori Taylor, the Irish girl. She beat her like a girl and never got the call. That was some cold. Anyway, never got the rematch. And of course, Amanda Serrano was supposed to fight in Puerto Rico a couple of months ago, and then she had some perm getting her hair, something like that. Bottom line is, we don't know what happened actually over there, but she's been named Fighter of the Year by the International Boxing Federation. I think the honors that she receives are well deserved, but the bottom line is, baby, you need to walk away. You've had like 40 fights, and you're a chick. You got a small little head. I mean, you've been taking punches for a long, long time, so it's probably a better time now to walk away. Maybe not this after this next fight, than to stick around, because the guys that stick around, I see the residual effects, and you don't want to see them. Arnold Gonzalez remained undefeated. The unbeaten welterweight, of course, from New York City, 15-6 KOs. Now became the WBA some type of champion after defeating La Moralva Correa, 19-15-5. Of course, that was in New York City, but that was from Niagara, New York. I got to give Arnold a little bit. I watched some films of him. He can fight a little bit. Speaking of fight a little bit, a guy that could fight a little bit back in his day as an amateur fighter. I don't know if he ever had any pro fights, but Joe DeGuardia, the New York promoter, he's got a fight card tonight on starboxing.tv. Starboxing.tv. He's got a card there. Of course, he's a New York City promoter. I heard him on Socrates and Tommy D's program last night, of course. And listen, they do not do a show on YouPorn. I said that before because I've been mistaken. It's not YouPorn, it's YouTube. So these guys do a show on YouTube, not YouPorn. But the bottom line is, every Friday night, Tommy D puts it together. They had Ishii Smith on, the former champion, last night. And while him and Joey DeGuardia went back and forth, and I like interviewing people, but I don't like hearing people talk for like 19 minutes after I ask them a question. If I ask you a question, I expect a yes or a no answer out of it. I want you to come with a yes or a no answer. If you don't come with a yes or a no answer, I'm thinking this is some type of pontification or you're BSing me. You know what I'm saying? It's a yes or a no type of thing. And last night, Joe DeGuardia got asked all these yes or no questions, and he kept pontificating, going on and on and on and on. So I finally said, I'm going to watch something else. But the bottom line is, it was a good show. Tommy D's got it going on. Check him out Friday night, Tommy D Sports Talk. It's on YouTube. It begins, I think, at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Straight up, you were tuned to Ring Talk Live Worldwide. You're inside looking at the world of boxing and MMA. Lomachenko is a 6-1, 7-1 favorite over a guy fighting at home. I mean, think about that. The guy's fighting at home. He should have some type of juice, some type of not George Kambosos. Listen, unless Vasily Lomachenko, like Socrates Palmer said, unless he's gotten to the age of 90 overnight, he's going to beat George Kambosos. Kambosos would have a hard time winning the Golden Gloves here. I can't understand how Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez. I mean, Teofimo Lopez, talk about a guy that runs hot and cold. He beat Josh Taylor, but again, Josh Taylor might have been hurting making that weight. Speaking of Josh Taylor, looks like him and Jack Catterall are supposed to hook it up next week. We'll talk about that on the Sunday edition of Ring Talk Live Worldwide. If you didn't know, we come to you Saturdays and Sundays, 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's 2 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, these Saturday shows 1 hour on Sports Byline, iHeartRadio, Sirius XM Satellite Radio, the American Force Network, Vive TV, WBC TV via the Facebook page. But the bottom line is, the 2-hour show is Sunday. Sunday's a 2-hour show, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, coming to you from the Sports Byline studios here in the city by the Bay, San Francisco, California. Tomorrow, we'll spend some time with retired HBO Godfather Larry Merchant. Barry on boxing will be here in the studio. Of course, I'm trying to get a hold of Kenny Rainford, Sir Kenneth Rainford. Of course, we've been trying to make him a knight in England. Of course, I keep calling the king. The king doesn't return my calls, especially after the cancer thing. King's not returning any calls. But the bottom line is, Sir Kenneth Rainford is going off with Tyson Fury. Of course, he's going to go off to Saudi Arabia for that Oleg Usyk fight that's coming up. But the bottom line is, Kenny Rainford knows insides. Kenny Rainford is inside the Tyson Fury camp. Kenny Rainford was the guy that told us that Tyson Fury had problems with little guys. I don't know why. Some guys do have problems with little guys. I wouldn't. I mean, anytime, if you put me in the ring with a flyweight, I'd annihilate him. I mean, the guy's the size. Size matters in two things: pornography and combat sports. That's why I think pound for pound, this guy doesn't get his mention. I'm talking about Jesse Rodriguez. June 29th, I think it'll be on ESPN. But Jesse Rodriguez, 19-0, 12 knockouts. I think he's a favorite of Juan Francisco Estrada, a longtime champion at 115 pounds. Of course, they will come and do us from the WB Super Flyweight title, come to us from Phoenix, Arizona. So it looks like it'll be a top-ranked card Saturday night on ESPN. Speaking of ESPN, ESPN's been doing all right. I mean, I pay the extra money to get ESPN Plus and this. I don't have a problem with my ESPN subscription money. I do have a problem with my DAZN money because I'm paying like $30 a month to DAZN. Listen, if I was into pornography, I wouldn't pay $30 a month for it. I mean, come on, man. I just wouldn't. All right. So I'm sort of like, I'm dogging the thing. And you know what? I'm in a position. I'm going to admit this right now, Daniel. Okay. I can steal DAZN. I can steal it if I want. Okay. But I support boxing, so I pay for DAZN. But guess what? You push it any further past $30, we may have a problem. I may have to bite my nails. You are tuned to Ring Talk Live Worldwide.
Medallista olímpico para Estados Unidos en Los Ángeles de 1984. Evander Holyfield saltó al profesionalismo ese mismo año.
Fans are going wild, but in that fight, Holyfield ran out again.
En 1986 fue campeón mundial de peso crucero y en 1990 de peso completo WBC, derrotando a James Douglas.
Boza, however, able to Boza down.
But fighting back, he's still legit. And there it goes into the ropes. Holyfield looks to finish him off. Brazil steps in and
Evander tuvo connotados rivales a los que venció: George Foreman, Larry Holmes, Riddick Bowe y a Mike Tyson en 2 ocasiones en 1996 y 1997. Holyfield es uno de los más destacados pesos completos de todos los tiempos. Resistente y técnico. Es formidable.
I'm Frank Ripley, inventor of Frackwell, the boxer's water bottle. You're watching WBC Live Channel, powered by Vive.
Pedro Fernandez.
The entire week on the internet has been consumed by Devin Haney and his father whining. I'm tired of them both. I was tired of bumming Bill before he left San Francisco. Now I say to him, don't come back. In fact, when I think of Haney and the fact that, the city hasn't had the greatest fighters in the history of boxing. We really haven't. I mean, Pat Lawler was a club fighter, but he beat Roberto Duran when Duran was out of shape. And he beat Wilfred Benitez and beat Renato Arredondo. Those guys were all three former world champions. So, Pat was a little bit exciting to an extent because when Pat lost, he lost. He lost big. But, Devin Haney just doesn't entertain the most boring fighter in the history of San Francisco. I think I can say that. Bottom line is ESPN tonight, May the 11th. Of course, Vasyl Lomachenko and George Kambosos. Vasyl Lomachenko is 6-1 favorite. I think he wins a 12-round decision. Also on the 11th from the zone is Edward Hernandez and Daniel Lugo. Those guys are fighting 130 pounds. That's going to be on the zone. The zone, of course, next we're going to go with the world heavyweight champion, the linear champion, the WBC champion, Tyson Fury, of course, undefeated with that. And let's not even talk about that horrible fight with Francis Ngannou. Of course, Oleg Usyk, undefeated, the man with all the belts per se. Of course, he's a lad from Ukraine. He's got big stones, but he's not that big in size. So I think that size matters in two things, pornography and combat sports, and that size will prevail here. And I expect Tyson Fury to defend that title and capture all those belts. Now, also on the 18th, Emmanuel Navarrete, one-time 122-pound champion, good fighter, no doubt about that. In fact, I think he's lost one fight, and that was early in his career, but he's been the 122-pound champion, 126-pound champion. Now he's fighting 130 pounds, the WBO 130-pound title holder. He's going to take on Dennis Berinchyk. That's going to be May the 18th next week on ESPN. So if you want to watch the Tyson Fury Oleg Usyk fight on pay-per-view, then I mentioned the Zone's going to charge you pay. Listen, another thing about the Zone. The Zone said, if you subscribe with us, you'll never have to pay another pay-per-view charge. And then next week, they're going to try to screw you for $90. $90 to watch this heavyweight title fight. So what I'm trying to tell you is you got to go to bars and clubs and anywhere they're stealing the fight. Go watch it. God, I'm just telling you. I mean, listen, I support boxing to the fullest, okay? But I'm not going to go along with this. I'm just not going to go along with it. I mean, the Zone, they pull a fast one. I think that's a bait and switch type of thing. And in fact, I think that there should have been some litigation to go after them for that. But the bottom line is everybody wants to shut up because they are the boxing establishment, per se, the Zone. I don't think so anymore. But the bottom line is they do. They carry a lot of weight. At the end of the day, they do have a lot of fights on TV. Now, is it good or is it bad? I don't know. $30 plus paying for pay-per-view, I think that's bad. And May 25th, I mentioned a little bit earlier. I'll give it real quick. Looks like Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall, the 25th, will come to us from the Zone. Also on the 23rd, Jermaine Franklin versus Devin Vargas. Those are heavyweights. Of course, Devin Vargas will fight at one point in time. As I said, Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall. I'm going to go on a limb here and pick Catterall. Catterall won the first fight. I think he'll win the second fight. This has been a production of the Sports Byline Broadcast Center with the executive producer, Mr. Daniel, sitting in the other room. Looks so good. Daniel Ogden, of course, the father of two, a great father, a super father, no doubt about that. But I wish him the best. Have a great weekend. And wish you the very best. Have a great weekend. And don't forget, Ring Talk, Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time on these same channels.